For 20 years, I haven't been able to eat a raw apple, carrot, cherries, plums, name it. There's been so many fruits that I haven't been able to eat raw because I have this thing called oral allergy syndrome. And I'm going to share with you how I healed it through my embodiment journey. Welcome to Embody Your Wild. I'm your host, Carolyn LaFortune, and I'm an embodiment guide. I'm a mother of two. I'm a studio owner of Embody Pole in Ottawa. And I'm here to have real conversations about how to tap into your wildness or erotic power, into your aliveness. Let's fucking go. Let's start with what is oral allergy syndrome. So the definition on Google is known as a pollen food allergy syndrome. It's an allergic reaction caused by cross-reactivity between pollen and certain raw fruits, vegetables, or nuts, and your immune system mistakes the proteins in raw foods for pollen proteins. So for me, I used to be allergic to all of the proteins from the birch tree family. So this was apples, pears, plums, peaches, what else? Carrots, celery, kiwi, and hazelnut. And it first started when I was 14 years old. I remember the moment exactly. It was late at night. I think my mom was already sleeping. And I was hungry, so I got myself a snack. And so I went to the kitchen. I sliced up an apple like I would always eat, put a little bit of salt on it, and then went to my bedroom to eat said snack. And then what I noticed after eating a few slices is that my mouth started to tingle and started to itch, and it was starting to swell a little bit. I immediately go to my mom's room and I'm like, "Hey mom, I'm waking her up." And she's like, "Ah, what are you doing? It's late." and I remember she's like looking at me, she turned on the light, her bedside light, and it's still dark. It's not like a full bright light. And I was like, "Mom, my lips are swelling and they're itching. It's tingling. Like, I don't know what's going on." And she's kind of looking at me like all dazed and was like, "You're fine. Go to sleep." And then like, okay, I guess there's nothing happening to me. So I just stopped eating the apple. I kind of took some water and then it finally went away. And then I noticed the second time I tried doing that, I ate again another apple and then it was same thing happened. And I was getting confused. I was like, what is happening to me? Why can't I eat this fruit anymore like I used to do before? It had been a while since I had eaten an apple, but like not more than a year, I'd say. And then what happened there was I started to develop allergies to other fruits as well and other vegetables. So then I noticed that carrots were starting to bother me. And I tried all sorts of different carrots. Like we even grew our own carrots in our garden, and that was still bugging me. It was still tingling. It was itching and swelling. And so I started to avoid a lot of those fruits. And then it was a certain time that passed. And at that point, I was not in a healthy lifestyle. So I was later in my teens or early 20s or something like that. I can't remember exactly. But I was drinking a lot. I was partying a lot. And I was working as a bartender. And I remember eating a celery. I was cutting celery to make, to prepare them for Caesars and things like that. And I remember eating a celery stick. And I was like, oh, this is new. This is a new, I guess, this is a new vegetable that I'm reacting to, which I wasn't before. So I was starting to get curious and get confused with what was happening. And so I'm like, all right, here's another veggie that I have to put on my list and that I can't eat anymore. After that, it was later on, I would start to go out for dinner, and then I was getting so scared and so anxious about what they were putting in the food, and I had to make sure to always get the same thing. So I was getting really afraid of trying new foods because every time I would eat something, my mouth would start to swell up a bit. It would start to tingle. It would never got to the point of full anaphylaxis where I had to go to the hospital. thankfully. But I still had to be careful on what I was eating, especially if I was eating out at a restaurant. I remember at a certain time I had celery root, and that was the first time I'd ever had celery root in my entire life. And that also was starting to bug me. And I was like, okay, let's wash it down with some wine or with some beer or whatever it was at the time. and and that seemed to help because I was like, okay, now I'm noticing that if I'm starting to react to something, if I drink some water, it helps to diminish the symptoms. So as long as it passes my mouth and just goes immediately to my stomach, then it's fine. But it's that transition when that food enters the mouth, then it starts to react. And then for some reason, if it stays there too long or if I eat too much of it, then it starts to get worse. And it lasts about 5 to 8 minutes, I would say, every time I had an allergic reaction. But it always seemed to get a little bit worse every single time. And it took a lot of time for me to understand, okay, this is oral allergy syndrome. Okay, this is what it's called. I self-diagnosed, and I had gone to see doctors. I had gone to see allergists, and allergists were like, oh, we can't test for those things. And then the doctors were like, there's nothing we can do. And so I went to see naturopaths, and as well as like, okay, let's try to do the elimination diet. Let's try and do all of these other things that might help to see what the root cause of it is. And I remember as well when I was 18, I had a tattoo done. And this was a tattoo that my boyfriend at the time had given me for Christmas. So I had done the original design. So this is on my left wrist. It is the clé de sol and the clé de fa together. So the music notes, or the music, what is it called? The treble clef and the bass clef put together in one design, and with a little heart in the center. I had this tattoo gifted to me for Christmas. I was so excited to get it done. And then we were walking on Rideau Street, and then I went to a tattoo shop on Rideau. We were on our way to jam, actually. So we were meeting another buddy at our jam spot that was just down the road in near King Edward. And I remember I was so excited to get this tattoo. I was like, finally, we're going to get it done. This was I think late February at this point. So my boyfriend at the time, he was like, okay, are you going to be okay if I just go meet our buddy and I'll bring him back here, and then we can go jam after and you'll have a fresh tattoo. And I was like, yeah, don't worry. I'll be fine. And I'll see you soon. Okay. We left. I got my tattoo done. And then it was about half an hour as I was getting this tattoo done that my eyes started swelling up. And I was like, what is going on? And I remember asking the tattoo artist, I was like, are my eyes swelling? And then he took a break because he wasn't quite finished yet. He was going to add in some shading and some other things. And he kind of looks at me and he's like, I'm not sure, but do you want some water? Yeah, maybe. And I could feel myself coughing a little bit. When he went to get some water and came back, my eyes were swollen shut. I was still able to breathe, but I looked like I had 2 golf balls in my eyes because my entire eyelids were super swollen. I couldn't even open my eyes, even with trying to pry them open. He's like, whoa, what is going on? Call 911. Let's get this bitch to the hospital. Yeah, I remember the paramedics showed up, and I was really calm through all of this, and I was like, okay, well, I can't go to the hospital because my boyfriend's supposed to come back, and I'm waiting for him to come back because he went to go get a buddy of ours. And they're like, no, he's here. He's just jaw dropped all the way to the floor. He couldn't say anything. And so I was like, okay, he's here. Okay, well, then I can go to the hospital. And then he managed to come with me in the ambulance. And so I rode to the hospital in the ambulance, fully blind because I couldn't see a damn thing. I couldn't even open my eyes. And yeah, they got me in right away, got me in on some IV and, got it treated for the allergic reaction. And at that point, too, I was like, wow, this is the first time I've ever reacted to something like this. Like, my body is really not happy with me and with my lifestyle or whatever it is. I've had, I think my mom told me that I was allergic to penicillin when I was young. I don't know if I still am now. During pregnancy, they offered me to do the test, and I was like, I don't want to chance it. I don't want to do the test. Whatever, it's fine. I don't need to know. So to this day, I still don't know if I'm allergic to penicillin or not. But then after this tattoo, I was in the hospital for several hours, probably like 7 or 8 hours until I got discharged, and took a few days for my eyelids to calm down and to get back to normal. And that was another thing where I was like, oh, my immune system is very reactive. There's something weird going on. And then after that, I went to see allergists again. I went to see all of these, none of them were like, oh, we can do something. They were all like, nope, we can't test for that. And I was like, even if I give you the ingredients list from the tattoo, can you check it? They're like, nope, we can't test for that. And I went on this whole search of literally that ink, the tattoo ink just had 4 ingredients in it. I forget exactly what it was now, but it was carbon, which was the black color, I think water, glycerin, and some other thing. So I'm like, I know it's not the ink that I was allergic to. Maybe it was the soap that they were using before or to clean it, and then that was getting into the bloodstream. Who knows what it was? To this day, I still don't know what caused that reaction. And funny enough, I decided to get another tattoo. So a couple years later, I had designed the one that I have on my left shoulder, which is the couple swing dancing on a vinyl record. And that one, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go see a different artist. She's going to use completely different products and inks. And I'm going to take a Benadryl beforehand. And you know what? Everything worked out fine. I took the Benadryl, and I honestly believe that the Benadryl stopped my reaction from happening, or there was something there that just, I don't know. Because later on, I learned that she had used the exact same ink as what the first tattoo guy used. And so what does that tell you? Because at the time, this was the best quality ink. I think it was Kurosumi. I think that's the name of it. Everything was fine. Nothing bad happened. I had a fresh tat. I felt great. And then again, I think the following year, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go get another tattoo on my right arm. And this was going to be a full half sleeve. I'm going to, have 2 trees, one in the front, one in the back. And it's going to be kind of like a mystical forest with mushrooms and fairies and things like that. And I went to see a different tattoo artist. So all 3 tattoos had different artists. And this one, I decided to not take a Benadryl. I was just going to test it out and see. And she was freehanding it. This was maybe 15 minutes in. And then I don't know if it was just me having a panic attack or if it was actually my body reacting to this tattoo. But I just told her to stop. I need you to stop. I need to just pop 2 Benadryls and call 911. So I ended up going to the hospital again. This time I was able to see, and I was just a little more loopy because of the Benadryl. But other than that, I was fine. I didn't have an allergic reaction. And I just remember the doctor was like, so why'd you decide to get another one? I was like, well, because I really liked them. And the first one had the reaction. The second one was fine. So I figured the third one would have been fine too. But that was not the case. I don't know what happened. It was an experience, that's for sure. And growing up as well, like I had asthma, I had allergies to cats and dander and cigarette smoke and other things like that as well. So I knew that my immune system had been reactive from the beginning, but the oral allergy syndrome started when I don't know if this is a causation or correlation, but it started around the same time as I started taking the birth control pill. And, I was 14 or 15 at the time. I had a low dose. I think I was on LS. And so it didn't seem to affect me all that much. I didn't really notice a change in my body. Also, at the time, I was not super body aware. I know that the birth control can shift a lot of the hormones in the body. It can affect the immune system. It can change a lot of things. So that could have been it as well. Who knows? I remember as the oral allergy syndrome was getting worse and worse, it really came to the point where I was scared to go for dinner at someone else's house because I was like, where's the nearest hospital? And this was after the big allergic reaction with the tattoos and things like that. So this was at a time where I was like, oh, I don't want to live through this again. Maybe this is like a trauma that's resurfacing. Who knows what it is, right? There's a lot of shit that was going on at that time. I was getting so scared. I remember at one point I went out for Indian food with a friend and I had a mango lassi. And, a mango lassi is just mangoes and milk or cream, I believe. And I full on had a panic attack in the restaurant, but I was so quiet. He had no idea. So I was just there listening to him. I could feel my heart rate was going up. I could feel I was just like sweating, but I was suffering in silence and suffering like I didn't even tell him about this thing that I was going through. I was just pretending everything was fine. And that was the first time I had experienced a panic attack and I wasn't really sure what was happening. I was like, oh, am I reacting to this? I'm not allergic to mangoes, but maybe this is a new food that I'm starting to get allergic to, or maybe this is something else that my body is telling me, alert, 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 you need to do something about this. I had become so scared where it's like, okay, I remember going to a friend's parents' house for dinner and it was a snowstorm and I was so anxious the entire time I was there. And then dinner came out and I was like, oh shit, I can't eat apples or whatever they put on they had made like a salad with cut like sliced apples and almonds or something like that. And I was like, oh, I can't, like, I'm just going to pick those off. Maybe I'll eat around it. But then I didn't want to be that person who told them that like, oh, I'm allergic to this. And I didn't want to be also that person that didn't finish their meal because then that looked impolite. So sometimes I would force myself to eat these foods and react and not say a word. Or sometimes I would just put them to the side and just kind of like drink my anxiety away. And that helped during that time. It was a coping mechanism for me. And then the next day, I remember after like, a night of drinking, the next day I was like, oh, I can't eat anything. I have to eat something that I know for sure that I'm not going to react to. And this was like probably a time in my life where I was at my unhealthiest. I was just drinking a lot, like eating out a lot, but just bad food, like pizza and fries and burgers and things like that. And I wasn't feeling good. I was feeling like shit. I was getting more anxious. I was drinking more. It was getting in a loop of all the anxiety, all of the fear and shame and everything. I was trying to deal with this to move through life. And it was an ugly period of my life. And then years later, I managed to, get out of it. I also, in that time, I was in a bad relationship. This was feeding into that loop. After that time, I kind of recouped myself. I stopped drinking so heavily. I started, taking care of myself. This is around the time where I started pole dancing. I started doing burlesque. And so now showing up to pole hungover was not fun. And that kind of made me slowly stop those habits, or at least be a little bit more hydrated, be a little bit more prepared to move my body physically. And then after that, years went by, still no answers from doctors, naturopaths, allergists. Like, I tried to go every route to fix this oral allergy syndrome bullshit, and then I just kind of gave up. For many years I was like, you know what, I guess this is what it is. I don't know what to do anymore. I feel like I'm just defeated, and this is what my life is going to be like. And then a few years ago, I ended up taking a coaching certification through the School of Embodied Arts. And this one was learning how to do more one-on-one coaching, but also how to introduce more somatic work, how to introduce more of the embodiment work, how to really connect to myself in a way that was on a deeper level, and just starting to feel a bit more of the emotional shit that I was carrying, and releasing a lot of the emotional stuff. And through this program, we actually had to do, I think, like 10 practice sessions before our certification. And I was working with this other girl who was doing a one-on-one session with me. And then she's like, oh, and I was the client for her to practice. And so I decided to explore what this whole oral allergy syndrome stuff was. And this is what I mean by, like, doing the embodiment work. It's not just, okay, I'm dancing and I'm moving around and I'm breathing and I'm connecting to myself, but it's really, she was guiding me into my body. She was guiding me into sensation, into, okay, where am I holding? And especially for that one session, it was like, where am I holding this allergy stuff in my body? This is when I started to feel like, oh, I'm actually holding back on my own self, on my own power. I am holding back to say these things, and I'm really shrinking myself here, and it's showing up in other ways, like it's coming out as an allergy instead. And when I was doing that session, I felt a shift. And then after that, I ended up, moving my body, doing my own practices later on after the one session to keep this connection going. And I realized that I had disconnected from a part of me that was holding a lot, was holding so much tension, so much burden, so much grief, and just a lot of shit that when it actually released, I actually felt that, like, I'm going to try just eating an apple and seeing what happens. And so the next day, I actually ate an apple and nothing happened. I was like, wow, did this fix itself? Is this like a one-time thing? Like, is this a forever thing? I don't know what's going on. And then later on, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try some carrots. And then I had some carrots. I was like, nothing's happening. And during that session, it was that connection to myself and shining light on those parts of me that, like, I can't remember exactly what it was, because it was very much just a felt sensation and just felt in the body. So it's really hard to explain. But I've definitely connected to myself in a different way that now I knew moving forward, I can actually change this about myself, that this was happening subconsciously. And I stepped into a different version of myself. And through this, now I can actually eat apples and carrots and nothing happens. And I'm still to this day, sometimes I'll eat like cherries and it's tingling like just a little bit. And it's kind of like, hey, don't forget about me. I'm still here. There's still work that needs to be done. But overall, I've been able to enjoy just slicing up an apple and eating it. Now, when I cut the apples for my kids, now I'm like, oh, I can actually have some. And it's so delicious. I forgot how good an apple tasted, especially when it's fresh, picked off the tree. And you're like, oh, this is so good. So I'm not saying that this is like a one-time fix-all for everybody, but what I'm saying is that there's a deeper connection to our immune system, to our nervous system, and we need to explore those parts of us that are hiding, that are suppressed, that are deep inside of our bodies, so that we can start to heal some physical ailments and illnesses and diseases that we have. The body is powerful. The body knows. We have to listen to the wisdom of the body. It goes way beyond just feeling in your head, just thinking thoughts and working through talking with somebody else or mindset work. It's really about the connection to yourself, to your body, and how can I keep working on this as I'm moving through life, as I'm wanting to eat food, just not worry about having an allergic reaction, not worry about where the nearest hospital is. Am I going to have to call 911? All of this just left the body and just drops the anxiety and the fear. This is the work that I do because it's so powerful. I'm not just teaching you how to pole dance anymore. I'm teaching you how to connect to yourself in a way so that you can be fully rooted in who you are. You can be fully connected to your body to be able to heal yourself, to be able to heal your physical shit, to be able to get rid of some autoimmune diseases, some, physical pain, some discomfort, chronic pain. Like all of this shows up because there's a leak somewhere that's happening inside of your body. And also by connecting to yourself, to your center, that's how we heal our bodies. I'm not saying that everybody who's experiencing oral allergy syndrome, now you're starting embodiment work, so now you need to throw out your EpiPen. Like, no. And still take your healthcare provider's advice and things like that. But what I'm saying is that this is what worked for me. And this is the type of work that I do to help you as well. My body didn't feel safe. This is when I actually stepped into my inner safety that things started to relax, started to drop and open. And, I still experience seasonal allergies. I still have other allergies, I'm sure. I don't know if I were to get another tattoo today, if I would react or not. I haven't tested that out. It's been over 15 years since I've gotten a tattoo now, and I'm not really wanting to test that out anymore. But another thing that I found interesting as well about the tattoos is that when I got the treble clef and the bass clef put together with the heart in the center, when I had originally designed it, I drew it out without the heart in the center of the two. And because it was my boyfriend at the time who had drawn it with the heart, I didn't want to disappoint him. I didn't want the heart in the middle. I didn't want that tattooed on me. But I didn't want to disappoint him, and so I still got it tattooed on me. And I almost feel like that's also my body's way of being like, nope, you didn't want this, so I'm going to reject it in this way. That's just a theory I have. I don't know if it's true or not, but something to think about. What I'm saying is that this work is powerful. This is where we start to feel safe in our bodies. We stop living always under threat of something, of being in fight or flight constantly. And when we start to relax our nervous system, when we start to calm down, this is when the immune system also relaxes. It starts to soften. It starts to calm the fuck down. That's why I'm so passionate about this work, because it is life-changing. I've seen this transformation firsthand. I have felt it. I know that it's possible. If it's possible for me, it's possible for anyone. This is the shit that needs to be done. This is the stuff that needs to be studied. This is the stuff that needs to be taught in medical school, instead of just being like, take this pill or take these drugs to stop the allergies. Or, instead of taking Benadryl when I got those tattoos, I could have done other work. But it takes time. It's not a quick fix. This could take years. This could take, multiple years to try and figure out what is the root of this. And at this point too, there's not one root cause of these things. It's just how our bodies are carrying this tension, how our bodies are feeling, and in being able to be vulnerable, in being able to express ourselves and to trust ourselves. Because there's a lot of these times I didn't trust my body. I didn't trust me, and I outsourced my power. I didn't even trust my own boundaries. I didn't even know what boundaries were at some point. And like I said, I got the freaking heart tattooed on me, and now I have it forever. And so, and I know there's like options to get tattoo removals and things like that, but I also feel like it's a part of me now, and that's like a timestamp for that time in my life. So I don't want to get it removed. So many people keep asking me like, "Oh, I love, what's this on your arm? It looks like veins, or maybe what kind of tree is it, or whatever it is." It's still, I don't know, at this point I kind of forgot it's there, and I don't really feel the need to change it. And now the more that I'm learning about tattoos, the more I'm like, "Oh, maybe it's not such a good idea to get it covered, or to do anything to it. It's a part of me, it's part of my journey, and that's it." So if you're listening to this and you feel disconnected from your body, you're scared of your own sensations, anxious, shut down, maybe you feel numb and inflamed, and you feel like your body is constantly betraying you, I want you to know that you're not broken. I've been there, I've felt that, and your body is just protecting you. It is serving you in some way, shape, or form. The invitation is not to fight it harder. The invitation is to come back into relationship with it, to invite it in slowly, welcome it in, even, invite it for a cup of tea, and to let your body feel. And that's how we build trust. This is how we get to regulate ourselves. This is how we get to feel into our desires, into our erotic power, into our boundaries. And then this is when we can also hold our boundaries. We get to be fully rooted in our identity. We have a strong identity. We have all of these other parts. We can actually take action, because now we know that we trust ourselves to do it. And it's this loop that is the work that we do at Embody Pole. This is the work that I do, that I'm so passionate about, because I want every woman, everyone to be experiencing these changes and these shifts within you, because it is possible to heal yourself without going the allopathic medicine route. So if you're interested in working with me, I do offer one-on-ones. You'll have to contact me. And you can also come to Embody Pole. This is where you'll start with the intro experience. If you're already a member and you're loving this, we have other ways to get deeper into the body. So we have a retreat coming up in October. This is going to be a witchy, wild, feminine retreat in the forest at a private luxury chalet in front of the water. And we are going to spend a full weekend together, where we'll get our photos done. We will get into our bodies, into our erotic power. We'll get into receive mode. So that means you'll be able to just relax for the entire weekend and let your body just go, how does that feel to come back feeling refreshed, come back feeling so alive, and be nourished with delicious food, amazing guidance, and delicious, juicy offerings that you're just going to be able to fully let go, fully feel like everything has melted away. And so that is my goal with this retreat, the Embody Your Wild Women's Retreat, happening on October 23rd to 25th. And it's going to be an unforgettable weekend. Thank you so much for listening, and own your energy. If you felt even just a little glimmer inside of your body, subscribe and send this episode to a woman you know that needs to feel this too.